How to upgrade your unupgradable Mac. One of the biggest complaints that I hear about Macs is that because of the way that Apple builds their systems, because of the CPU, GPU, memory all on one chip, non-user upgradable storage, you can't upgrade it. And those people are right, but only to an extent. If one part fails, the whole thing is e-waste, right? Well, in this video I'll show you the right way to upgrade your Mac and stay on the cutting edge of performance for your system at the best possible price. So let's begin. I'm iCave Dave and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you. So let's just come out and say it, Apple has certainly made some design blunders in the past that have been real issues for right to repair. And these are things like attaching a ribbon cable directly to the display of the MacBook Pros, which failed over time, meaning that when that cheap cable failed, you needed to replace the entire display. That was a poor decision. This kind of thing should absolutely be something that Apple addresses in future so that the cables can be attached at both ends and replaced if necessary. And from the way that iPhones are built, we know that Apple is absolutely capable of doing that kind of thing. So Apple, this one's on you. But it has to be said that it's actually a good idea for Apple themselves as well as it is for us. Because right now, if Apple's having to repair those under AppleCare, then they're also having to replace that whole top assembly rather than just replacing a cable. So it must be costing them an absolute fortune too. Now this video isn't about the right to repair, but I do believe that those parts should be available to do your own repairs, and that the main way this happens right now is a bit like when you own a car and you have to go through a scrapyard, buying another Mac that's broken in some way and salvaging the parts that you need. It would be great to just be able to buy these directly from Apple, but it does seem that even in just the past couple of weeks, Apple has started pushing more towards embracing more repair shops being able to get the parts that they need. This is most likely due to the outside pressure, but either way, it's a good thing. But why are Macs becoming so much more integrated and having less replaceable parts in the first place? There are a number of reasons, but the biggest one is actually reliability. The more of the system that's on one component, the less chances there are of that component failing in the first place. Just look at the forums where people are talking about older Macs, like 10 plus years old, and people are having issues where they need to reseat RAM, for example. Now, that might seem like a really minor issue, but when the RAM isn't seated right on a computer, I guarantee you that most normal people wouldn't be able to diagnose it themselves. If it doesn't boot, it's probably dead and you need a new computer. If it's over 5 years old, you're probably just going to assume that's the case. Not an issue you will ever have with soldered memory. And the same goes for hard drives and SSDs. If you have one that can be removed, that's another few points of failure. So it could be bent pins at either end, it could be failed cables, all sorts. And I know what you're going to say, don't come at me with the M1 SSD wear issue. That has been shown multiple times by multiple people who've collected their own data that it's not an issue. What if my graphics fails? The computer's bricked on an M1. Yes, but when did you last hear about integrated graphics on a CPU failing? My best guess is never. It's always been an issue of discrete graphics, and specifically with Macs, NVIDIA chips. Again, something that you will see littered across the forums. That was the real reason that Apple and NVIDIA stopped working together, by the way, and why more recent Intel Macs all used AMD whenever they needed discrete chips. But with M1 you have integrated graphics that are more powerful than a 1050 Ti, and coming soon around double that performance with the M1X. So again, I understand that it's annoying you can't upgrade the RAM and SSD yourself, but these are things that are there to limit failures within the system itself, as well as increasing performance. Having unified memory on the system in package means that the traces to it are extremely short, reducing latency, and using the same memory for the CPU and GPU means it doesn't have to be copied out to different modules, which again increases performance. The SSDs are also some of the fastest in the industry with 3.4 gigabytes per second of read speeds. So the point of this video was how to upgrade these unupgradable Macs. Well, you're going to need a backup drive. Macs are well known for holding their resale value very, very well. So are iPhones and iPads, by the way, and even Apple peripherals like keyboards and trackpads. Like the Magic Trackpad 2 is consistently selling on eBay used for over £100, which is crazy. That's like 2/3 of its original value. The 2018 Mac Mini i5, which was replaced by the Mac Mini M1, which handily destroys the Intel model on performance, is still selling on eBay for between £600 and £800 used. Now, there are certainly some that are going for less than that too, but in general, those are poorly listed, without packaging, and in poor condition, and I still don't understand how a Mac Mini gets into poor condition. It sits on your desk. Even the 2014 models, which remember started at £499 instead of £799, are still selling for £250 to £350, comfortably used, and they're like 7-year-old machines. Now, the same applies for the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro models, and it looks like the M1 based Macs will hold their value similarly. The base model M1 Minis are now selling for around the £600 mark on eBay, and even when you bear in mind that you can find them brand new on Amazon for £650, that's a really good deal for the seller. I'm not expecting those prices to fall much either, even if we get an M1X based Mac Mini, as that would come at a higher price point, so maybe £50 tops. So when you are looking at the cost of owning a Mac, it starts to make a lot more sense to resell. Buying a base Mac Mini, just as I did after the release, even if at full retail, which wasn't quite the case for me because my wife is a student, and keeping it until the upgraded version comes out, assuming that's an M1X and comes like 6 months later, means that owning the Mac Mini would have cost me about £17 a month in depreciation, assuming that I sold it to trade up. And when you do that, the external hard drive that I told you to buy earlier should have a time machine backup of your whole Mac on it, which you can then restore onto your new machine and carry on with your day. It's very, very simple and super easy to do. So if you want to keep the best possible performance in your Macs, this is how to do it. Buy the latest one when you need it, and then when something better comes along, move your current system over to it, barely losing any money when you resell your previous one, and get something more powerful. But of course, not everyone needs to have the latest and greatest. Not everyone will need an M1X. My system is currently fully capable of everything that I need to do now, and probably will be for the next 5 years or so, if that's what I decided to do. Of course, if you want to upgrade sooner, that's cool too, because you can. So just as an example, my daily driver until the M1 was the 2013 iMac with a quad-core i5 and a 27-inch display. A quick look at eBay tells me that these are selling today for around £550, which again is kind of crazy, and that means that if I was to sell it on today, that 7-ish year old machine has cost me £17 a month. The same as the Mac Mini. £1,920 brand new, take off the £550 that I could resell it for, and £17 a month is what you come out to as the typical, which is pretty impressive, I would say. So basically I could sell it today and get another Mac Mini M1. That would be pretty cool. I would say in general that the base models tend to lose less money over time, so if you can actually get away with having the base level of RAM and storage in your system, then that will actually give you the best chance of reselling it for a decent amount of money down the line. Now with desktops, obviously that makes it super easy because you can just plug an external hard drive into it, keep a bunch of your files on there, and also external SSDs. But now, as well, external SSDs have come down in price radically as well over the past few years, and you can get about a terabyte for about £100 of NVMe, which is nice and quick and very much small enough that you can chuck it in your bag and carry it around with the laptop too, if that's what you need to do. Keep everything that you need for your general computing on the laptop itself, and then keep anything bigger, like, for example, if you've got video editing that you need to do, keep all those files on the external drive, just plug them in when you need them. Much easier. And to be completely honest, now that we pretty much stream all of our music and video and all of that sort of thing, internal storage isn't as important as it used to be. Now, bear in mind here that there is no e-waste being generated by selling on a fairly new computer to someone else that's going to keep using it for years to come. At least for a few years down the line. Because these computers stay useful and there should be no major issues hardware-wise, there are still people using them way beyond when Apple stops releasing new operating systems. Even at that point, Apple still releases security updates, so it's not a major issue from that point of view. It just means you don't get the fun new features every time. So don't feel bad for those people buying your old computers. Now, I hear the argument all the time that if Apple cares about the environment, they would make their Macs upgradable internally, but honestly, that's bullshit. The whole of a Mac Mini's internals constitute far less e-waste than upgrading a single graphics card in a desktop PC. That's just a fact. And another fact is that the vast majority of PCs, even if they can be upgraded, never are. Probably 90% plus. They are huge, mainly empty boxes that use way more energy to run, have a bigger carbon footprint to transport, and don't last as long in use. So make the most of your Mac, and when it's not quite enough for what you need anymore, sell it to someone who will keep using it and get yourself the next one. It's actually a really economical way to work and keeps good systems being used for longer and keeps you up to date. Before we get to answering your questions in iCave Answers, what do you think? Have I got this completely wrong, or do I actually have a point here? Let me know down in the comments, and again, if you've got any questions that you want me to answer in a future show, use the hashtag iCaveAnswers and I will answer them.
Marcin Kowalczyk asks at iCave, David Eden Sangwell iCave answers, do you suspect Apple may reuse cooling power component solutions from previous platforms in M1X iMac, like it did with M1 Mini? P.S. Happy Easter, Dave.
Okay, cool question, because yes, the Mac Mini M1 right now has a 150 watt power supply sitting in there, and it's only using maybe up to about 25 to 30 watts of it at any given time, because they were basically just trying to get these M1 Macs out the door as quickly as possible, replacing as few components as humanly possible. That's why the M1 Mac Mini is actually also a half-empty box. By all accounts, the new iMac is going to be a completely new, redesigned system from scratch, everything custom built. Because it's such a big jump in terms of thermals and in terms of everything else, I genuinely don't think there's going to be any component, maybe a screw, that is reused from one version to the next. That's going to be about it. If you want to find out more about the M1X iMacs, you can find the whole video right up here.
Dot asks, iCave answers, when do you think Apple will add high refresh rate desktop laptop screens? They added 120Hz to a portable device like the iPad, and 120Hz is said to be coming to iPhone 12s Pro, but I really want that on a 32-inch Apple Silicon iMac. If the M1X M2 Max can have 16 core models, and 32 cores, and above in the future, I think 120Hz should be no issue for them, especially if they move over to Mini LED.
Okay, so we're talking about high refresh rates in Macs. I think it's going to be very, very soon, actually, because the big issue that Apple had with the iPhones, and the reason that 120Hz ProMotion didn't come to the iPhones as quickly as everyone wanted, is not because Apple didn't want to put it in there, but because they couldn't get supply enough of the panels. Now, when you're looking at Macs, they are much, much lower volume than iPhones. iPhones, they're going to sell 250 million over the year that the model exists for. Let's assume probably 100 million of those are going to be Pro models, 150 million non-Pro models. That seems about right, but it could be even more Pro, to be completely honest, because the Mini didn't do so well. So we're looking at over 100 million displays that would need to have that. For Macs, you're probably looking maybe 20 million across the year. In fact, it might even be less than that. It could be like 8 million or 12 million, something like that. So they could literally put mini LED displays into every Mac, and you're looking at way, way lower amounts than previously. So I think it's coming. We've also seen a rumour in the last couple of days that the new Apple TV code includes 120Hz 4K refresh rates, so I think it's going to come to Apple TV as well. I think it's going to basically be rolled out to everything. I definitely think that the iMacs are going to get 120Hz ProMotion displays. That just makes all the sense in the world. iCave answers, do you see yourself ever going back to reading out the iCave answers questions? I really liked it when you used to read them out, but I get it, you work really hard every day, and reading the growing number of comments is a challenge when you do amazing daily uploads. Well, thank you very much. I've read this one out for you, Dot. But I tell you, the main reason that we actually went over to using Siri is because people missed having Siri in the intro. I wanted to make the intro shorter, so that's why Siri came out of there. I just wanted to find her a job. I didn't want her to feel left out. But honestly, I kind of like having a different voice read the questions, because it's not me asking the questions. So if I ask the question and then read the answer to it as well, that just seems a bit weird.
Dot asks, iCave answers, do you think restructuring the Apple TV system would bring Apple more money if they did the following? Discontinue Apple TV box, sell a 5K/6K TV in their Pro Display XDR bezel-less design powered by an A14, add Apple TV software into the TV, or as a licensed software, sell an optional remote with controls defaulting to the iPhone, or as an Android app. Seriously, I think Apple could make a ton of money if they sold a TV. I don't want to buy from Samsung or LG. I want an Apple Mini LED TV that can be used with a MacBook and all the native features they can come up with.
So if we go back 5, 6, maybe 8 years, there were huge amounts of rumours about Apple bringing out their own TV set with all the stuff integrated into it. Now, it makes absolutely zero sense at this point, because especially with mini LED and things like that, Apple's Pro Display XDR is 32 inches, which is not big enough for most people that want a TV. Now, Apple could definitely do it if they wanted to, but the price would be ridiculous, for one thing. The panels in pretty much every TV are made by a very small number of places, so even if you were to buy an Apple Mini LED TV, it would be an LG display. It would not be an Apple-made display. It would almost certainly be coming from LG. So the fact that you don't want to buy an LG TV makes no sense. I understand that it would be great to have an Apple kind of branded TV that had all of the kind of Apple ease of use and everything built into it, but you kind of get that already by getting the Apple TV box. We have got more rumours of more Apple TV boxes coming very soon, as I said in one of the previous questions, with the 4K 120Hz ProMotion probably being built into the TV. It wouldn't actually be ProMotion, it would be 120Hz. That would just be the refresh rate that the TV has to run to in order to kind of show that content. And bear in mind that most TV panels right now don't do 120Hz. Most of them are limited to 60Hz because most people don't give a crap about refresh rates. This is one of those things that, again, the tech crowd really cares about. Most people don't know. Don't care. They will play their Xbox on 50 or 60 Hz, depending where they are in the world, and they will think it's absolutely fine. I don't expect Apple to do it. Number one, it's massive amounts of stuff to shift around. TVs themselves are really big, and a dumb panel is just as good if you've got the software being plumbed into it by HDMI. That doesn't make any real difference. I would love to see the design that Apple would come out with for a TV, but let's be honest, you want a big panel, you don't want much around it, you want minimal bezels, so how much stuff on the front of that TV would actually be Apple-y? You might have a little Apple logo, you know. Most Apple stuff comes with a sticker, so you could maybe throw one of your stickers onto the TV, I don't know. But yeah, I just don't see Apple doing it. It doesn't make any sense for their business model. They want to kind of own what happens on the screen. They're not necessarily that bothered about owning the screen itself. Hopefully that answers your question. And in terms of having something of the level of an A14 running it, that looks like it's what's going to go into the next Apple TV. A14 or maybe even A14X, depending on how gamery they want to go. So thank you for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, and you can join the notification squad by posting up #notification squad in the comments, but you better have rung that bell first, otherwise you're cheating. Catch you in the next one.